me and muddy, that's just what I like. I be sipping on mud. Bitch, I come from the mud. What's good, everybody, man? You already know who it is, man. It's your boy Big 36 Project Slumlord, king of the slum business, man. And we back with another video, man. Another reaction, man. You know, it's been a minute since I did a reaction, but we about to do a banging reaction today. And it's gonna be a reaction to Swamp Stories. We're gonna be talking about the Diddy scenario, surviving Diddy. You know what I'm saying? As you can see on the screen, it's a lot that been going on with it, and I wanted to cover it. I started covering it, but I ended up catching COVID not too long ago, probably like 3 weeks ago, and I never did like a recap or a part two because since then there's been so much going on. But right, so I just decided, I'm gonna just do this reaction to the surviving Diddy docu-series that's out. Shout out to Swamp Stories for this. Go make sure y'all go subscribe to their channel, man. But without further ado, man, let's get into this reaction, man. We got Diddy, surviving Diddy, Swamp Stories, man. Hold on, let's go.
Done before, we take a deep dive into one of America's most controversial figures. He's loved by some, hated by others, but everyone knows that he's a boss that you never want to piss off. As talented of a genius as he is, he's also known to be equally as angry, manipulative, and flat out evil. So in this video, we gather information and opinions to create an unbiased and hopefully accurate depiction of the man himself. This is Surviving Diddy, so let's dive in. The story begins in 1970s Harlem, a very rough place at the time. Poverty and violence ruled the community, and people did what they had to do to survive. One of these people was Melvin Combs, a man who climbed the ranks as a dealer in Harlem. But
that's P. Diddy father, y'all, if y'all don't know. Yeah, that's Diddy father. Melvin Combs.
Melvin lived a double life, one where he risked his life and freedom in the streets, and another where he provided for his wife and 2 children. But by all accounts, Melvin and his wife did a great job sheltering their kids from the chaotic streets. Sadly though, in the mid-1970s, Melvin would lose his life to a deal gone wrong.
Now, the official story that I heard about that situation is that Diddy father personally, well, pretty much he told on somebody because he ended up getting caught with something, ended up telling, and the guys who he was in business with, they took care of it. You get what I'm saying? So Diddy grew up his whole life thinking his dad was like some, real hustler type dude, and because his mom lied to him. But let's continue.
Melvin was just another statistic, one of the thousands in New York City. But to his son named Sean, he was his everything. Sean was in elementary school when his father passed away, and his mother always told him that it was a car crash. Her idea was to shelter him from all things bad, and she even moved him into the suburbs. So in the 6th grade, the family moved to the city of Mount Vernon, and Sean attended a private Montessori school. In many cases, going from inner city to a private school can be a struggle, but not for a young Sean Combs. He was highly intelligent and charismatic, an instant leader amongst boys. So Sean spent the rest of his adolescence in Mount Vernon, thriving amongst his wealthier classmates.
So Diddy was a straight A student in school. Shout out to him, man. Kids, get your grades up. Don't be no fools out here.
After high school, his good grades led him to the prestigious Howard University. There, he became an absolute star in all facets. He joined a fraternity and was known for throwing the best parties in DC. On top of this, he started a cab service that would safely take home drunk students after parties. He was already a natural businessman, and everyone knew that he was—
I was about to say, in college, he was throwing the best parties and had a company with taxi company, making sure children, like the kids, was getting home safe at the parties. That's dope as hell, and that's very entrepreneurial.
Was destined for success. All he had to do was wait patiently for his first major opportunity. For him, this would come rather early. In fact, it was in 1989 after his freshman year. While home in Mount—
it was just a year after I was born. He was like out of college and shit, and doing major things, and I'm just being born.
Mount Vernon, he linked up with a good childhood friend named Dwight Myers, also known as Heavy D. Growing up, Heavy D was like a big brother to Sean, a mentor in many ways. Well, Heavy was a talented rapper, and by 1989 he signed a major deal with Uptown Records. So over the summer, he introduced his friend Sean to the owner of Uptown Records, a respected mogul by the name of Andre Harrell. Right off the bat, Andre took a special liking to a young Sean Combs, like an oddly special liking. I guess he saw major potential in him because he decided to give him a major opportunity right away. So in the summer of 1989, Sean was hired as an intern at Uptown Records. Over the summer, Sean spent countless hours in the studio and in meetings with major artists from around the country. It was truly a dream come true for a freshman in college, something that's pretty much unheard of. Well, the fall comes around.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. This man whole like it's just he just been what is it he was fortunate pretty much his whole life, and you can't really blame him for being fortunate. You get what I'm saying? For people around him making sure he had the best opportunities in life or anything, but dang, it's like all his like everything fell into place for him like from jump.
And Sean has to return to campus in DC. Andre didn't want him to go and tried to convince him to drop out and stay with the label, but Sean's mother was not having it. So together they came to a compromise. Twice a week, Sean would take the train from DC to New York to be at the Uptown office. This was 4 hours each way, meaning that Sean spent a total of 16 hours a week just to remain an intern at Uptown. This really didn't make any sense. What could he bring to the table that required him to do all of this hassle? Well, you might
I could tell you, he get a lot of fresh skin.
find out in just a second, so hold on. This crazy lifestyle continued for a few months until Andre Harrell put his foot down. He offered him a full-time job at the label if he would drop out of Howard and return back to New York.
This man trying to get him to drop out of school. It better be some millions behind that, but shit, clearly, he became a billionaire. Probably one of the best decisions he ever made.
Sean accepted it and it worked out extremely well. This is because at just 20 years old, Sean was promoted to the vice president of the label. Whoa, now we're all thinking the same thing, aren't we? Why in the world would Andre Harrell promote a 20-year-old to the vice president of his
Right. Like immediately, like he skipped internship. He did the internship, but he skipped like all the grueling shit. He just immediately got like stake into the company and became VP. I'm telling you, Diddy has been fortunate. Like it's either some real backdoor bandit shit going on, or this man has really, really just been that fortunate. Like
label. The music industry is one of the hardest to crack, and for most it takes decades to get this position. So how did Sean Combs really get this job so young? And that leads us to a little bit of deep diving history. Back in the day, Andre Harrell had a very similar story to Sean Combs. He was another college student in the Bronx hoping to one day work in the music industry. And while in college, he was discovered by a legendary music mogul by the name
Jimmy Iovine. Is that him? No, that's Clive Davis. He one of them, but I know it's been stories about him. I done heard some stuff about him just through, doing research on some of the figures, the figures in hip hop, some of the people that, pretty much got the biggest stake in hip hop. Yeah, and I've heard about this guy.
Name of Clive Davis.
Clive Davis, I knew it. Yep, that's who it is.
For those who don't know, Clive is famous for founding Arista Records and for being one of the first moguls to come out of the closet.
Oh, okay. Shout out to him for coming out. At least you ain't got to wonder if he is. Like, you got to do most of these rappers.
Well, Clive took a special liking to Andre and took him under his wing in the music industry. Long story short, in 1985, Andre was given funding to start his own music label, one called Uptown Records. So just like Puff, Andre went out and discovered underground rappers, one of which being Heavy D.
It's crazy. that these it's just like they just be throwing money here you go, start your own record label, here you go, you become the VP of my company, it doesn't matter. Like they just be giving each other shit.
D. So again, this begs the same question. How did Andre get this position at such a young age?
Right. And how did he get his at such a young age?
Well, according to Sean's former assistant, it's all a power dynamic with Clive Davis at the top. The insinuation is that the boss takes advantage of a young intern and will pay them back later on.
Really? Really? So they just front you the bread to be like, yeah, just pay you back later on.
He loves the ability to manipulate and control people. Why? Most likely because he was victimized by his mentor, who loved to control people.
And his mentor was
Oh, so they saying Diddy did get, you know what I'm saying, with Andre Harrell. Ooh, that's freaky boy. Now wonder why he be down with the freak offs. So okay, so apparently Diddy and Andre, didn't Andre Harrell pass? Rest in peace, Andre Harrell. But so they had something going on, or he took advantage of Diddy. I don't know. Let's keep watching.
Andre Harrell,
tell us how
who
was
was
he victimized?
mentored by Clive Davis.
Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too. Don't tell me that Andre Harrell got by Clive Davis too.
Regardless of the truth, stories like these have always been rumored in entertainment. Essentially, you get taken advantage of by those in power, and that's how you make it in your industry. Then the idea is that over time, the former victims become the perpetrators. Now, of course, these are all just rumors, but Jaguar does get more specific. When Sean was hired at Uptown, Andre Harrell had a personal assistant named Kim Porter, and the rumor states that she caught Sean doing special favors for Andre.
No, okay, so Kim Porter was Diddy's ex-wife or first baby mama. One of the, I don't know if they was married, but so Kim Porter walked in and found Diddy doing extracurricular activities with Clive Davis, or who? Who?
And the rumor states that she caught Sean doing special favors for Andre.
Oh, for
But
the
then
nigga Andre. Damn, that's crazy. That's wild. Diddy. Man, come on, boy. Come on, boy.
again, you know, you had it in for Andre because Andre used to make you. And Kim
Damn, she went reckless with it.
Porter had footage of it. And Kim Porter had footage of it.
The rumors have never proven to be true, but they will be important later on. Well, make of all that what you want, but the fact is that Sean's career took off from here. After becoming the vice president of Uptown, Sean truly put.
All right, so far what we done digested is that Diddy Pops was lived a double life as a drug dealer and I guess a family man. Ended up dying. Diddy decided, ended up, going to a private school. Ended up getting to college, going to college to Howard University. Then he ended up becoming successful and throwing parties at Howard, and he had a limousine service, a taxi service for the students to get home safely at the parties. Then he meets him and Heavy D, close friends. Heavy D gets a record deal. Heavy D decides he's going to introduce Diddy to Andre Harrell. Andre Harrell takes advantage of Diddy, decides he's going to give Diddy his own record label. Well, he's going to hire him to the company. So he got Diddy ended up being an intern at Uptown. Diddy decided, well, Andre Harrell was trying to get Diddy to quit college. Diddy quit college and he became the VP of Uptown. And then Andre Harrell let him go. I mean, not Andre Harrell let him go. I do remember know that for sure. But then they find out that Andre Harrell and Diddy, you know, Kim Porter, Diddy's ex-wife, ended up, you know, y'all seen that last part. But that was just a recap of what's been going on so far. That's just crazy. Like Diddy, I ain't gonna lie. I like in the beginning, I was saying he was real fortunate, but now it just seemed like it's starting to turn dark real soon, and I'm like, nah, I don't know. You wasn't that fortunate. You had to do some things, like, but I mean, if he like it, then I guess it's okay with him and his, you know, judgment making the decisions. It ain't nothing to him. But if he deep down don't like it in the inside, then I know for sure it's fucking with his him spiritually, and it's fucking with him mentally on the low. If he not into that for real, for real. But dang, I'm sorry, y'all. Let's get back to it.
Put his head down and grinded for success. He scouted the local underground scene in order to find his first diamond in the rough. This is how he discovered his first artist in 1991, an MC out of Long Island by the name of Craig Mack. Craig was an instant success, but Sean wasn't satisfied with just him. While scrolling through the Source magazine, Sean was intrigued by a rapper in the unsigned hype section. This would be a young rapper out of Brooklyn by the name of Notorious Big. So in March of 1992, Sean got in contact with Big and brought him to the studio. He was blown away by his talent and instantly signed him to Uptown Records. Boom, this was his next Uptown protege. Now I know what you're thinking, but Biggie was a certified street dude and he was not going for that. It was strictly a business relationship, and here is where things get interesting.
What else would it be?
It's the fall of 1992 and Biggie completes his first album to be released. The debut album is called Ready to Die, and both him and Sean feel very strongly about the project. But there's a major problem in the way. Uptown's parent company refuses to release the album. They expressed that the album was not to their liking and contained too many explicit lyrics. As you would expect.
Oh yeah, this back in the day when you couldn't like have cuss words in your music, so you would have to do like two versions. You had to do like the dirty version, and you had to do like the clean version, the radio version. So I definitely do remember. I mean, you got to be born in a certain time, like in the late 80s, early 90s. You get what I'm saying? Time, late 90s, early 2000s to really understand that type of that time period.
Sean was upset and so was Biggie. Sean did not respond well to the decision, and because of this, he was fired from Uptown Records in late 1992. This was devastating, but Andre Harrell had his back no matter what.
Final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because...
Did that sound like he was about to rap just now? Final straw for me, and then the way the beat dropped, it was like, boom, let's hear it again.
Devastating, but Andre Harrell had his back no matter what.
Now watch when they come in, y'all.
Final straw for me was when MCA wanted me...
Uptown Records in late 1992. This was devastating, but Andre Harrell had his back no matter what.
Final straw for me was when MCA wanted me to not put out the Biggie Smalls album because they didn't like the subject matter, and they wanted me to tell him he's got to change his tone. And it wasn't up to me, I felt, to tell a generation what they could and could not do artistically. So I knew
that's respectable, and I definitely fuck with that. He decided he wasn't going to tell Biggie to take the shit off.
Knew it wasn't going to work because he was coming from a new space and a new era, and Biggie Smalls was more like in the streets and telling street stories. And he told him, well, I'm really letting you go so you can get rich. I'm really letting you go so you can get rich.
But was this really the case, or was something else at play? Puff had just gotten fired from his dream job at the age of 23. Most people would be devastated, but Sean fell right back on his feet. Just a month after being fired, Sean started his own label called Bad Boy Records. Obviously, the 23-year-old didn't have the pockets to fund it himself, so it was initially a partnership with Arista Records. Wait, let's get this straight. So Sean was fired by Uptown and then given his own label by Uptown's bosses. How does that?
That's crazy. First of all, I know what happened. Think in the streets, like a nigga try, like the plug try to cut you off, but you know who his plug is. You just gonna go to his plug, right? It ain't really like, and then he like, oh man, he already know that's the big dog. I know him. Might as well just go to him. But I don't know. Let's go.
That makes sense. Well, it's possible that Jaguar Wright was correct.
He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
So again, here's the idea. Andre Harrell had to do special favors for Clive Davis in order to be hired and then get his own label. And once Andre established his label, he repeated the same cycle on Sean Combs. But for former Uptown singer and assistant Jaguar Wright, she believes that Clive Davis was in on it as well. I guess her idea is that Sean did things for Andre in order to be hired, and then he did things for Clive in order to climb the ranks. And being that Clive is above both of them, he had the authority to give Sean his own label.
Andre got passed over. Like, how do you go from being the president of Uptown and losing your entire company to your intern? Like, Puff started out as an intern.
And that's because you know Clive Davis, and we all know he has lots of secrets. Clearly, he trusts you. He stepped around Andre Harrell and gave you the keys to the kingdom. Andre was in line.
If the rumored power dynamic is true, then Clive Davis did replace Andre Harrell with Sean Combs, meaning that now, instead of Andre, it was Sean doing special favors for Clive. And as a reward, Clive made Andre drop him from Uptown and gave him his own label. Of course though, this is all silly speculation. But what's not speculation is that Uptown's artists were released from their contracts and were able to sign with Bad Boy Records. This way, Sean now had full control over Biggie and Craig Mack. Well, after starting Bad Boy, Sean started going by the alias Puff Daddy.
Okay, so this is the era of music where I was born, and I actually remember this era of music. Well, Bad Boy. I didn't know about Uptown, and I wasn't old enough for none of that. I think I probably know maybe like I don't even know any like words of any Heavy D music, but I know who he was. Again, they was out when I was just being born, so.
This is a name given to him by his mom because when he was a kid, he used to huff and puff whenever he was mad. So now we enter the era of Puff Daddy and Bad Boy Records. Puff's Bad Boy released their first album in July of 1994, which was Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. The album took off to immediate success, and this is how Bad Boy entered the industry. Then just 2 months later, Biggie's debut album Ready to Die released as well. Both albums did well, and Puff was eager to keep it going. So just 2 weeks after Biggie's album, Bad Boy released Craig Mack's second album, Funk the World. Puffy couldn't miss, and he was eager to recruit more and more new artists. He was becoming so respected in the industry that other moguls were coming to him for advice. And that takes us down to Atlanta, Georgia. In 1992,
Now I ain't gonna lie. Now he probably did sleep his way the way he at, but to be able to produce the talent that he was producing, I mean, that takes some skill. You got to give it to him. He talented in something like that. That takes skill to even just be like see and make hits. You get what I'm saying?
music mogul L.A. Reid discovered a 12-year-old singer named Usher Raymond. While watching him perform at a local talent show, he saw some Michael Jackson in him. He was so impressed that he signed him to his label LaFace Records at just 13 years old. Interestingly enough, LaFace Records was under the Arista umbrella. Just keep that in mind. Well, the story goes that in order to prep Usher for his music career, he was sent to go live with none other than Puff Daddy. So at 14 years old, Usher was sent to live with Puffy full-time, something known as Puffy's Flavor Camp. I guess the idea was for Puffy to mentor him and send him down the right path.
Would y'all send y'all kids to live with a grown man for a couple weeks or whatever, however long? I don't know, leave that in the comments because I want to know if that's normal or regular or like, I'm not sending my child to go live with no another man and I ain't there, boy or girl.
But according to Usher, there was a lot more going on than just that.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was,
So
it was
nobody
crazy.
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people
all
are
of
hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary J.
okay?
Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I
Yeah.
actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See?
Many people out there
Like how your parents don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know.
believe that Usher was Puffy's first victim of the power ritual. There's no proof to show that, but these clips may convince you that something strange was going on.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early. And now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid.
So what do you guys think? Is Usher a part of surviving Diddy, or is this just a silly assumption?
Hell yeah. I think so. I think the nigga just ain't saying nothing. Well, it definitely seemed like he done, yeah.
Well, now we move on to the next chapter.
And I ain't saying he seemed like he, gay or nothing. I'm just saying he seemed like he experienced some things.
Regardless of all the nonsense, Puff was truly a genius at discovering and developing artists, and in the process he was gaining immense wealth and power in the industry. As you would expect, the success got to his head pretty quickly. By many accounts, Puff grew an obsession with having complete control. He wanted control over everyone around him, even for the silliest things. So here is the first example. The year is 1995 and Craig Mack is eager to continue his success, so he puts together his third studio album, one by the name of Operation Get Down. The story goes that he brings the album to Puff to get it released, but things don't go as planned. Puff allegedly tells Craig Mack that if he wants the album released, he has to fire his manager and then hire a bad boy manager. But Craig's manager is one of his closest friends and has been rocking with him since day one. Because of this, Craig is loyal to him and tells Puffy no. Even though it's a silly request, Puffy is pissed because he doesn't have control over the situation.
Puff told Craig Mack if he didn't change management, he wasn't with him no more. Craig wasn't getting rid of his management. Craig said, yo, listen here, man, I'm not changing my manager just because you want to. Puff said, yo, I ain't with that kid no more. Not at all. I was right there when he said that. Told Craig Mack, you don't change your management, I ain't fucking with you.
Craig stands on his principles and refuses to fire his manager, so Puffy decides to be petty. He completely stops paying him and refuses to release his music. This made things awkward at Bad Boy, as Craig no longer had the power to control his career or his narrative. In this 1995 interview, you can see the awkwardness on full display. Like, Craig Mack could not believe that Diddy would really lie on camera like that.
I'm sure you got much things in store for my man.
Yeah, definitely. We got a new album we're working on him to drop in January.
You can see the disbelief in Craig Mack's face, like no way he's saying this. From here, frustrations grew further between Bad Boy and Craig as Craig felt betrayed by his boss. I was your first artist. I was the one who took the risk and signed to your label. And more importantly, I've made you a whole lot of money. And now you're willing to throw away my career over a silly manager. What is going on? But not only did Puff want his career to dwindle, it's also rumored that he wanted him killed. Craig knew what Puff was capable of, so everywhere he went, he rolled around with a blicky, something very risky in New York City. He even contemplated getting rid of Puff in order to save his own life.
I had a gun in my...
Damn! Shout out to the legend, but boy, you got now. When they say you got a face only your mama could love, boy, woo, shit. Shout out to the legend, though. He's definitely a legend.
My lap. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to do this. But if it comes to getting ugly where somebody's trying to kill me, I'm going to have to do something first.
That fro is not a hair out of place, neither. That motherfucker perfect. Tape line crisp. That fro, I'm telling you, is just the perfect circumference. It's just, boy, he ain't got a BDB, a nap, or nothing in that bitch.
Or do something to prevent that from happening.
In what world?
I'm gonna be honest though, Diddy crazy. But if Diddy did like clearly he did, but that's fucked up that he did that to Craig Mack. It's fucked up that he, it just makes all the things to me kind of seem like, what he is alleged to do have been done. Like it's not even like what he alleged to do now. It's like, bro, you got 30 years of like test people's like experiences with you. Like it just makes all of this seem more real. And I'm not saying he did anything or not. I'm just saying, like, for people to have 30 years of experiences about you and with you, like, that ain't good. I mean, it's just crazy. But I'm gonna end this video on this, man. This is part 1, man. I'm gonna be back with part 2, man. So y'all keep it locked, man. Y'all hold it down. I'm gonna be, we're gonna post these. I'm gonna post these all tomorrow. So you guys will have all of them when I do post them. You'll be however long it take, because this is about an hour long. So however long it take, when I post them, y'all will have all of them. So yeah, y'all stay tuned. I'll be right back, man.
On the flight, slimy and muddy, that's just what I like. I be sipping on mud. Bitch, I